Hi, I'm Dr. Christopher Phelps, a dentist from Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'm here to talk to you about another unique characteristic that sets my tracking service apart from any other tracking service out there. And it's this right here. We track online advertisements like no one else. We use dynamic number insertion. And for those of you that aren't familiar with that term, I'm going to go over that here in just a second. But what are all the others doing? Like, how are all the other systems out there trying to track your online advertisements? Well, they're trying to use the half-truth, is what I call it, right? Using incorrect data and incorrect methods. And so how are they doing that? Well, they're measuring stuff like the amount of traffic that goes through your website. Well, look how many people visited, Doc. Look how many unique visitors we got to your website. 400 people went there and looked at it. Well, I mean, that's great, but did they actually pick up the phone and call? Right? That's what's most important. Look how many forms you have filled out. A lot of times these ads will have forms that potential new patients fill out to request an appointment kind of stuff or request more information. In our example, let's say we have 10 forms that were filled out. Yeah, it's a nice start. It's hopefully, if it's true, we're going to get a new patient to call, but you'll see in a second, it's not always this case. Or we're going to track how many clicks we got on our pay-per-click ad, okay? And say, hey, well, look, Doc, we got 20 clicks from that ad, right? And I think your new patients went up, so I'd say it did pretty well. Well, what happens when you start doing it our way? When you factor in the whole truth, okay, and taking the data a step further and using that dynamic number insertion. Well, what dynamic number insertion in a nutshell is this, okay? When you have an online advertisement, say a Facebook pay-per-click ad, okay, you've got the tracking number on there and usually a link to your website. Well, if that person sees that ad and picks up the phone and calls that number, we know where they came from, right? That's part of that half-truth. We know they came from that online advertisement. But what happens is most people click on your website link on the advertisement, which takes them to your website. Well, if they like what they see, then they pick up the phone and call from the website. So we can't track necessarily that they came from your Facebook pay-per-click ad, right? That's what most offices and most other tracking services are stuck with. Well, with dynamic number insertion, it's completely different. Here's what happens. We take that same example, tracking number on the ad, link to your website, okay? If a potential new patient clicks on the link to your website, our software automatically recognizes where it's coming from, and it switches the phone number out on the website, so the number that person sees when they get to your website is your Facebook pay-per-click ad number, okay? So now if they like what they see and pick up the phone call, we're going to be able to track directly back to that Facebook pay-per-click ad without a shadow of a doubt. And because we have live people listening to every call, we can pull out every bit of information out of that telephone call, okay? There's nothing we can't hide. So what happens when you do it this way? Well, guess what? Your data is accurate, okay? Dynamic number insertion will not affect your local search rankings. Anybody out there who's using the half-truth and putting regular tracking numbers on your online advertisements are messing up your local rankings when people search for you, okay? It's screwing it up. You can look it up online. It's a documented case, okay, improvement. With dynamic number insertion, guess what? It will not affect your local search rankings, and it's the only thing out there that won't screw them up. What else is it going to do? It's going to get us to the whole truth, which is our goal is to try to track if something you're paying your money for is working or not. So what we look at in our example is we had our pay-per-click campaign. We had 20 clicks of potential new patients with the half-truth. Well, the reality using dynamic number insertion showed us that, guess what? Out of all 20 of those, there was only 2 potential new patients that called. And after listening to the calls, we discovered only one of those actually scheduled an appointment. So out of all 20 of those clicks, only one person made an appointment, okay? Big difference in the numbers. Let's look at our forms. Well, look, Doc, 10 potential new patients fill out a form for you. I'd say that's a great result. Well, when you use dynamic number insertion and you listen to the calls, guess what we find? 8 of those 10 people that called, filled out that form, guess who they are? They're telemarketers, right? They're spammers. All they wanted was for the office to contact them back under the guise that they were a potential new patient, but their goal was then to talk to you and sell you something. So they had no intention of being a potential new patient. So in our example, the reality is they only had 10 potential new patients who filled out forms actually want to come in as a patient. It's only 20% of the calls. Okay. So if you factor it this way, remember, dynamic number insertion, the way we track online advertisements, is the only way to get to the whole truth. Okay. It is the most accurate way to track online advertisements out there, and it gives us the most accurate data possible to track your return on the investment. Now I know exactly how many patients you got from these ad campaigns. I know exactly how much you spent to get them. And because we track what each of these people spend in your offices, I know what kind of return you got for what you spent. So if you want to know if what you're doing online is working or not working and you're getting a return for that investment, I encourage you to give us a call.